When you think of Kobe Bryant, you think an absolute monster, a Laker legend, the Lakers. I mean, he is a god in the city of Los Angeles, and he is an icon throughout the world. And unfortunately, his life was taken too short, and it is a tragedy even to this day. It almost seems unfathomable that we don't have Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was an absolute killer on the court, one of the greatest players ever, and the greatest Laker ever, in my opinion. And I know many people think, Magic, you can understand the argument for that, but I just think of the impact, the longevity, the career, the accomplishments that Kobe Bryant had with the Lakers team, I just think is unparalleled. I think he is the epitome of what a Laker is. And Kobe Bryant back in 2007 wanted out. He wanted to be traded. And there were talks of the Bulls that they had a deal lined up to acquire Kobe Bryant, but he wanted to play with Luol Deng, but Luol Deng was part of the package, so that got nixed. And then fast forward, and we end up getting Pau Gasol, and the Lakers end up winning 2 NBA championships, and the rest is history. Pau completely changed the culture there. Kobe Bryant was convinced to stay, and they immediately went and got a guy in Pau Gasol, which many people were blown away by that trade. I mean, they, at the time, looked like they got Pau Gasol for essentially free. It did level out a little bit later on because Marc Gasol was in that deal, and Marc Gasol actually turned out to be a really great player in and of himself, Defensive Player of the Year, eventual NBA champion himself as well. But this duo was incredible. And to watch the tenure of these two competing night in and night out was just something special. And their relationship really grew. Well, Mark Cuban was on Bleacher Report, and he was having a discussion with Taylor Rooks and broke down the Lakers trade for Kobe Bryant to the Dallas Mavericks. That is correct. Mark Cuban said that he thought the deal was done for the Lakers to trade Kobe Bryant to the Mavericks. Whatever that deal worked out as, we don't know. But we do know that according to Mark Cuban, it looked like Mark Cuban believed Kobe Bryant was coming to the Mavericks. Now, this isn't entirely new information. This is something Mark has actually said before in the past, but not to this much detail. So I thought I'd play the video for you so you can actually hear exactly what Mark said, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So here is that video.
You were saying that in 2007, there was a moment where you were almost trading for Kobe.
Yeah, I thought it was done.
Please tell me that story.
So, I was in Dancing with the Stars, and we practiced a lot, like 7-8 hours a day, because I needed it. And I was going back and forth with Dr. Buss, and I forget who called who. I think he called me actually and said, look, we think we might be parting ways with Kobe. And I remember it vividly because there was a PA named Elvis who was working on us. It was just Lakers, 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 Lakers. I used to give him a hard time. He'd give me a hard time. And we had just gone to the finals the year before and this and that. And so we would just talk Kobe, and it was Kobe, Kobe, Kobe all the time. One guy, Kobe, and so it started to happen. Yeah. And I started telling him about it, and that was the kiss of death. Because the minute I told Elvis, it all fell apart.
Oh, no. Why did it fall apart?
Because I guess Mitch Kupchak talked Kobe into staying. It was just like DeAndre, not the same, but
yeah.
When a guy that's key to your team wants to leave, you're going to do everything you can to keep him.
So what would this, Kobe Mavs team have looked like?
It would have been damn good.
Yeah.
And Dirk was like, I would have traded me for Kobe. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to trade you, Dirk. That's the whole point, right?
Wow.
Yeah, we would have been something else.
And it's crazy to just think about all the things that would have changed if that trade.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, my gosh. That's crazy.
And then they trade for Pau Gasol, and life's different. It's just, the NBA, you're just one, sprained ankle or trade or who knows what, and everything changes.
Yeah, but when you say you were close, you're like, we were at the finish line, but
I thought it was done. Yeah.
Done. It's done. 2007, done. Kobe's coming.
Done. Let's start talking about putting together the trade call.
Wow.
So there you have it yourself from Mark Cuban's mouth that Kobe Bryant was almost at Dallas Mavericks. He says that he thought the deal was done, like they were getting ready to make the phone call to announce the trade for Kobe Bryant, which would have changed everything. I mean, seriously. Now, the Lakers, again, obviously won in 2009 and 2010, back-to-back NBA champions with Pau Gasol. But the Dallas Mavericks with Kobe Bryant, that likely doesn't happen, right? Dallas, who knows? Maybe they're winning those championships. Maybe they're winning that year that Kobe goes to Dallas. Dallas had a pretty solid team. Depending on what the trade was, that would have been the big question. But Kobe Bryant and Dirk on the same team would have been monstrous. I mean, good luck trying to guard those two, because Dirk by himself single-handedly carried a Dallas team throughout the playoffs, and Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant. I mean, these two, their matchups were incredible. Watching Dallas and the Lakers just duking it out, going back and forth and back and forth, but the two of them being on the same team would have been so unfair. It would have been something that just, again, good luck to other teams. And it would have been absolutely fun to watch. As a Laker fan, though, and I'm sure many of you watching this video, because this is a Lakers channel, I'm sure many of you are throwing up in your mouth on the idea of Kobe just being a Dallas Maverick or any player or any team, period. But the NBA fan in me is like, man, I would have loved to see that. Even if Dirk would have came to the Lakers, which Dirk himself did say that Kobe Bryant tried to recruit him to the Lakers at one point, but Dirk was loyal. He was loyal to Mark Cuban. He was loyal to the Mavs, just like Kobe was to the Lakers. So it was great to see these two carry out their entire careers with one team. I mean, they're sort of the last of a dying breed in many ways. So it's very likely we're not going to get to see guys of this level, of this caliber, stay on one team for 20 plus years. I just think we're in an NBA that's just so mobile now, and all these superstars are going to various teams. The only player that I think has the potential that's like an absolute like bona fide top guy in this league is Giannis. But who knows? I mean, even, he was saying, maybe I'll go to Chicago one day, stuff like that. These two would have been fantastic. Like I said, Kobe won 2 more rings, and Dirk got one in 2011, beating a Miami Heat team. Well, what if Kobe and Dirk were on that team? I mean, they could have won easily. Maybe they win from 2008 to 2011, right? I mean, the Celtics in 2008 were just a different breed. They were an absolute monster and powerhouse, but they weren't unbeatable. They weren't that good, and they went to several 7-game series. They almost lost on several occasions throughout that playoff series. Maybe Dirk and Kobe with a solid supporting cast could have actually carried that team and maybe beat that team that was the Boston Celtics in 2008. I imagine, though, Lakers were able to get it done in 2009 and 2010. I think Dirk and Kobe at least do that. And then Dallas won in 2011. So you could have easily maybe had a three-peat with Kobe and Dirk. Like, what would that have done to Kobe's legacy if he had won 3 more championships and tied Jordan with 6? Like, what would that have done with Dirk if he had, 3 championships? You're talking about a complete change. And that's what Mark Cuban said. All these franchises, all these teams, all the what ifs. I mean, even the Lakers standpoint, like the Chris Paul. What would have happened if the Chris Paul trade was never nixed? What happens if Kobe went to the Chicago Bulls? What if the Lakers got Charles Barkley back in the day? Like, there's so many what ifs throughout history that are just those things that are like, wow, like imagine if that happened. Imagine if that went through. Imagine if Kobe really did go to Dallas in 2007 when he was an absolute monster and like putting up historic numbers and just taking over games and putting up incredible displays. I can't even think about it. But it's hard. It's hard to imagine that. But, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What would you have thought of Kobe going to the Dallas Mavericks? What did you think about what Mark Cuban said about this potential trade? Would you have loved that? Would you have hated it? How would you have felt about Kobe Bryant going to Dallas? Do you think it's something that would have hurt as a Laker fan? Would you have watched Kobe and still supported Kobe if he was Dallas? Because like I said, Kobe is larger than life. I mean, he in many ways was more than just the Lakers, and there are people to this day like are diehard Kobe fans. Like, Kobe was my Jordan growing up, and same thing as many others. So I do think like I would have still supported Kobe personally. I still would have watched Kobe. Obviously, they're playing the Lakers. I hope the Lakers absolutely kill him, but in reality, like, I would have still been like, hey, Kobe, like, if he would have won a couple championships, I would have supported it. I would have loved it. It would have been great to see, just because, like I said, that was my guy growing up. Like, that was my childhood growing up, watching Kobe just be this spectacular, just unrealistic type player, like the player that you build in 2K that's just unbeatable. Like, that's what Kobe was to me in many ways, and to many others throughout his career. And but what would it look like if he was a Dallas Mavericks? Do you think him and Dirk would have won several championships together? Do you think he probably would have just won 2? Do you think they would have won more? However you feel about it, whatever your thoughts and opinions are, I'd love to hear down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.